So Radiohead released their interactive exhibition, Kid A Mnesia, which dropped this week on Epic Game Store and also on PS5 for free. So as the supposed biggest Radiohead fan on the show, I do want to cover my review of this. I believe everyone has played it. Is that correct? Sweeney, have you played it?
Mike's hiding himself from the screen.
I think he's talking
I'll let him
to
answer first.
his missus. I'm going to go with the widescreen on him.
I'm ashamed at myself. I downloaded it and I didn't play it, and I freaking love Radiohead, and I'm seriously ashamed at myself.
No, don't be ashamed. Your time poor.
Well, I am. I'm just disappointed that I didn't play it.
So I loaded it up.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to get a nice screenshot for our thumbnail, because honestly, like, finding thumbnail for this game was a bit annoying.
Yeah.
Sorry, this exhibition. So I'd make my own thumbnail that's right at the beginning, so it shouldn't spoil anything. And I played it for about 10 to 15 minutes, and I realized that that was a bad idea, because like I mentioned last week when we talked about it, when they revealed it, that I'm not super familiar with these albums as albums. And I felt that I really wasn't getting the experience. It was amazing what I'd seen, like in terms of like visuals and stuff. But I was like, when I left, I'm like, oh, that was that song? Yeah, I can't remember that song. And I'm like, oh man, this, like, I missed the whole, it didn't hit me because of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go, and I tried to do it this week, and I just got stuck watching Let's Plays, let's be real. I was going to listen to the albums before I did it, so I will do that.
Do you want me to play the album and stream it, and you can just listen to it?
You need to not do the Let's Play, do the Let's Listen.
Let's listen.
I'll do Let's Listen. Okay.
The one thing I'll say, because I didn't experience the whole thing, was they do a warning up front about the fact that, could
epilepsy and
induce seizures and things like that. To me, there's some examples. I went in there and I'm like, oh my God, this is flashing lights so much. I'm like, this is horrible.
Now, I do want to cover this. So I want to like sit in the pocket on this review, but just on that, I was going to mention that at a different point, but this game, I swear, you could not make a game to fuck people up more than this game if they have seizures and shit.
Oh,
it is like,
it was horrible.
Man,
Mike, it's like literally like 60 hertz flashes. Like, and my monitor was running at like 165. It felt like it was doing 1 over 165 flashes. Like, it was ridiculous.
Wow. Okay.
Like, I was looking at it, like, I don't think I've ever seen a game flash like this, or like some of the things, the way they were sliding. It's like, I'm like, whoa, you never see this in games normally because it makes people so sick. But yeah,
anyway, I can't mention anything more about it, so I'll leave it all to you.
So let me sit in the pocket, and then I'll bring you guys in at the end, just because I want to get through it. But like, overall thoughts, I want to give some of the context about like me as a Radiohead fan, just like the whole art conversation with gaming, what the experience is, what my favorite parts were, and just some interesting questions that I had off the back of it. But like, overall, man, for me, this was like absolutely amazing. Like, honestly, I'd almost put this up there as one of my game of the year. Like, I'd loved it so much. Okay. I got so emotional at some times. Like, I was almost crying. Like, when I was like experiencing it, I was just like,
that's cool.
And the context is like, I love Kid A and Amnesiac so much. I've listened to those albums like hundreds of times, and it's so weird experiencing something where, to me, this is like a love letter to their own art, which is kind of weird in that way. But it's so beautifully crafted, and how they've put everything together. It's just such a weird and interesting way to experience it. And I'm not sure like how much you played of it, Swinny, or like experienced it. I don't even know how to use the right words for it, but like, you go through it, and you have your conventions of like the WASD and all this other kind of stuff, and mouse moving, but in a weird way, like kind of similar to Control. They start to break some of those conventions. So you'll go in some parts of the exhibit and you start to kind of like walk forward, and it's almost like the whole world it's like Inception or something, where everything starts to curve around you. So you're not like in the normal kind of Cartesian space. You're sort of now attached to, I guess, the wall. And then there's other parts where you can't actually move. Like, you almost like feel like you're trapped. And for me, it was so fascinating because it made me really reflect on so many things. And like, I want to get onto the art thing shortly, but it made me go, wow, people are so just like skip. I want to like skip ahead, skip 15 seconds. I do that all the time, so I'm not judging anyone. But, it was weird to be in something where you're playing it and you can't get out. It's like you're stuck in there. You have to listen to the music, you have to listen to the experience and enjoy it and sort of the whole experience. And to me, that was like such a cool thing. I was like, wow, like this is a really interesting way to force people to stop and to like experience and just visualize things and sort of sit in that pocket and go, oh, okay, like, you know, these songs and just how they merged the songs together was like amazing. I don't want to ruin too much of it, honestly, because I loved it so much.
I'm looking forward to this.
But
now.
yeah, like I was like playing, I'm like, damn, man, like this is, I can't believe people still have this conversation about like, you know, can, you know, visual entertainment like gaming be an art form? And I just like think it's the most ridiculous like conversation. Like when you have stuff like this, where this hit me like more than like any movie or TV show has, like, or even probably album for like the last couple of years. Like just the way it was all put together, I just absolutely love it. And I look at it and I go, wow, like probably another band like Tool that I love so much. Like I feel like this is something that they would have done. Like it kind of blows me away. It's Radiohead who did it.
If there was like a, you know, using obviously Fear Inoculum was most recent. If there was something like that in this format, it would just blow my mind.
Yeah. And
I feel like it's something we'll see more of this.
I hope so.
They'll build it in Roblox like the Gucci
Shut up,
exhibition.
But from an experience point of view, and again, I don't want to spoil it, but you know, like there is that sort of exhibit feel to it. It is a bit of a walking sim as well, so like anyone can play it. Like I played it on PC, but I guess I'd probably recommend playing it on PS5 because then it just everything else gets out of your way. Like
unless you suffer from seizures.
Yeah, if you suffer from any mild
you shouldn't be touching
seizures
this at all, I think.
If they say, you know how like they normally have those warnings and they reduce it so it's not actually as bad. This is like the worst thing I've ever seen by far. Even I was looking at it going, wow, I definitely don't get seizures because I would have a seizure by now. It's so crazy.
You speak about art and, you know, being emotional. My favorite part of this whole thing is the fact that there's a Radiohead Fall Guys costume. That's not a joke.
Yeah, I want to cover a little bit of that later.
You want to cover it
later?
Well,
okay. In the gripes. I'll go through all the good stuff first.
Okay, all right.
The other one would just, and I've only got a few more things to say, but like the other one was like, it feels like, this is one of the first times I think like this. This should be like a VR thing. I feel like there's nothing about it that can't support VR, and it would just be even more immersive. It feels like almost a missed opportunity in a way. You know, if Facebook, I'm sure if they got their head around it, maybe they hate Facebook as much as I do, so they wouldn't want to go in there. But this is where I find like it interesting on this conversation around preservation. It's like, is this going to be around for long? Because just getting the feel of it, I think they're going to pull this off the store. That's my gut feel. So I think if anyone's sitting on this thinking, oh, I might check that out later, in my view, I'd highly recommend checking it out.
That's a good point. I think
because just like I said, my gut feel is like they've released it on platforms that can be removed like quite effectively. So I'm not going to delete it on my computer. Like I hope that somehow protects it for a while. And it would be a shame if they take it off, but I kind of understand it from an artistic point of view as well. And then finally, for me, on the good stuff, like my favorite part was the pyramid song / how to completely disappear. Like there was a whole montage section, and I was just like, I was like listening to it, and I'm like, damn, I'm about to like cry or something. And I miss these songs so much. I haven't listened to them in such a time, and it was just such a cool way to just let the music wash over you. So my only like gripey stuff is like the marketing element of it. I get it. They need to make money. They had all these QR codes throughout the exhibit. I'm like, oh, QR codes. Like, is it going to have some cool Easter eggs or something? And it's just like pre-order like their merch. So I kept on scanning the QR codes for a while. And I'm like, I'm over it. Like, I'm going to stop doing it. Yeah. Even if I miss an Easter egg.
And one of the QR codes was like free copy of all of their albums signed in.
I love this as a template for, we talked about Tool, but I just can't wait for the Limp Bizkit Dad Vibes exhibition. That's going to be the one that I really want to
We should do a Let's Listen
experience
on the band platform.
I still have not heard that song, and I've just seen the thumbnail for the video. That's all I need to know about Dad Vibes from Limp Bizkit.
Some people have listened to the new album on podcasts that I like, and they go, "It's actually there's a really good song on there." I'm like, "Oh my god, am I gonna actually listen to this thing?"
We didn't obviously talk about it in the show, but we spent 15 minutes post show a couple of weeks ago
That's
talking about
true.
Limp Bizkit. So
That's true. I forgot that we didn't talk about that on the show. So yeah, like look, I love this experience. Highly, highly, highly recommend it. If you're a Radiohead fan, and that, I've even reached out to people to say, hey, like you don't game or whatever, but play this thing, man. This is amazing. This is like crazy. Like you just don't see this kind of stuff very often. So yeah, no, I'm gonna be interested to see what you think of it, Mike. I've hyped it up so much. I had no
You've
expectations
hyped it
going
up a
in.
lot, yeah.
I was like,
Now I've
oh,
got
what the hell is
expectations,
this?
damn it.
So, and I was like,
Do we
wow,
know-
this is sick, man.
Do we know if the PS5 version has like 3D audio support? Or
I'm guessing it would. I think like 3D audio is kind of like even. Well, actually, it was sort of a 3D audio experience anyway for me on the PC, just like the way you move around and everything. So I couldn't imagine it wouldn't be very immersive on the PS5, especially if you have those headphones that they have. So
Well, I wonder if headphones are 5.1. I do wonder what's going to be more immersive in this case. Either way, I think I'm going to
check it out. Let me know
for
when
the
you try it.
experience. Yep.
Did you want to add anything to it, Swinny?
well, I haven't played it, so all I know is
you just booted it up. Yeah.
yeah. Well, look, I spent about 15 minutes in it, so I went through some of the like halls and different like exhibits. And it's I like that they kind of put nameplates to point you in the direction, because I'm like, oh, that way is in limbo, or that way is packed in, what is it, packed in a can
Like
of soda,
sardines,
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like, and I'm like, oh, okay, but I realized that even those songs that I'm like, yeah, I remember that song when I went in there. I'm like, obviously it's not the exact song, but it's, you know, a remix of sorts on it. I was just like, yeah, I need to come back to this when I'm actually gonna have the full context. Honestly,
See, that answers my question, because I was like going through the whole thing. I'm like, wow, I wonder what it would be like if you don't know the music. Like, would it be really like touching? You know, and I guess it's not, because it's like,
well,
it is all connected though, the music and
like the visuals and everything were amazing, and the things, I am familiar with a lot of the big songs
of course,
that were
of course.
played from those albums. It's just that I think that the interconnecting tissue is very important for the whole experience, and that was what was lost on me.
Yeah.
So,
There's so much. I don't really want to spoil it. There's a lot of depth and care to the whole thing. Like even like little pieces of paper in the exhibit, like have literal stuff about them making those albums, or like notes that they wrote, contemporaneous
That's
notes.
awesome.
is
And
there a
there's, like-
battle pass? It's free to play. Well,
I
like,
know.
you got to expect.
This is the spectrum of free to play, right? Like, you get stuff like Genshin Impact.
Dubba has Ultra Instinct Shaggy in it.
That's got Ultra Instinct, Tom York.
So no, look, I'm a mega fan of this. Like, I'm actually going to be really interested about the developers and what they do, because I think you're right. Like, they've made a bit of a weird, crazy platform with this, and it was published by Epic, at least on the Epic Game Store. So that's pretty cool. Huge fan. Can't wait till you try it, Mike, and see what you think. But yeah, that was it for that segment.